Now we will move on to Measure D. As most of you know, Measure D is a renewal of a parcel tax for fire and paramedic services that are operated by the city of Palos Verdes Estates. The format here is slightly different. Each speaker will begin with a 4-minute opening statement. Then each speaker will be allowed 1.5 minutes to answer each question. And then each speaker will end with a 1-minute closing statement in the opposite order of the opening statement. The prose speaker is William The con speaker is Jim Ninan. Jim will begin first.
Does Jim start now?
Yeah,
Okay.
right now.
I'm going to have to read this because it's tight. Thank you for coming tonight. I want you to understand that this tax isn't $852 per property. Over its term, it's going to be either $50 or $90 million. So that's some serious money here. And it depends only on the county. 3 important points. First, we were told that we pay less in fire services than the other cities in Palos Verdes. This is not true. We were given a handout, or you should get a handout from me that gives you property tax bills. Ask anyone in Rancho to show you their property tax bill. Their property tax bill does not have fire tax in it. They pay 1%, 39-year-old, Prop 13. The city is on an unsustainable spending spree with our money. We must bring our costs under control. That's 2. Third, there is a better way. There is a 100% safe way that we can control spending, leave the city much stronger and fiscally much more sustainable. First, we're taxed twice for fire. I agree, it's unbelievable, but it's true. Ask someone in Rancho to show you their tax bill. If you get the handout that I brought tonight, I brought you a sample of my neighbors, and they don't pay this tax. Everybody in Rolling Hills Estates, and Rancho Palos Verdes do not pay this tax. They don't pay the tax. Their fire services are paid out of the 1% we all pay for property tax. In PVE Estates only, we pay the 1%, and then we pay again for fire. We pay for it twice. I know, I wrote this bill. I invented this tax 30 years ago. It was supposed to be temporary. It was supposed to go away. Second, the city's been on a spending spree because they get too much money. Overtime costs are skyrocketing. Check with your police department. Police retirement costs alone have gone up 25% in the last 2 years. They have recently added about 10 new employees. They've not made any attempt to save any money. And why should they? They've got our money. While the city's PV's population has remained the same, crime is about the same, fire and paramedic calls are about the same, but we're spending money like crazy. There is a better and a safe way. I'm not opposed to this. I created this tax. Revenues are increasing at about 7% a year from property tax. This year alone, property tax revenues are going up 8.44%. Measure D allows the county, at their sole discretion, increase our fees by 6.2% annually. That's crazy. That's like somebody giving you a mortgage for 10% when you can get 3%. This is unreasonable. CPI has been 2.2% for the last 20 years. If you even give them 50% more than that, you're still at 3.3%. What should we do? What we should do is we should approve a temporary, we should vote this down, send it back to be reconsidered. We need the tax. We need it for a period of time. The period of time should be about 6 years. It should go down every year. It shouldn't be at 6.2%, which would bring you up to $90 million. It should go down over time. They need time. Their cocaine is our money. So I don't know what that says.
1 minute.
Okay, thank you. In the interim, there's plenty of money in the reserves. I agree that using your reserves isn't good, but what are your reserves for? Your reserves are for a rainy day. This is a rainy day. Send this back. Let's bring it back in a year. Let's bring it back at about a 3.3% increase, which is 50% more than the CPI. Let's bring it back with a decreasing term. By the way, this year alone, they have $1.1 million in extra savings. Why don't we apply that money or earmark that money to be used for the fire contract that no other city pays? No other city pays. Look at the property tax bills. Look at yours. I pay $1,213.60. In Rancho, Rolling Hills Estates, and even in San Pedro, they don't pay any money. Please vote this down, send it back, let's redo it, let's do it right, and let's see where we can find some savings. and let's have it for a fixed period of time at a small interest rate, decreasing and going away in eventually, probably 6 years. Thank you. Bye.
William?
Thank you very much, and thank you for the League of Women to sponsor this forum. I'm William Up. I'm not on the city council. I'm not with the city. I've never been a mayor 30 years ago. What I am is I'm a citizen of this community and interested in what's going on in the city. So I was asked to take a look at this funding bill to be able to take a look at, is it being adequately measured? Is it doing the job that it's supposed to? The only reason I bring that up, because I think it's very important, because this Measure D has been hijacked by various city officials, various people opposed to the city, as an example to somehow think that if you vote this down, all the world's problems are going to be solved. Or if you are in support of it somehow.
Press the red button.
I'm sorry. Can we start the timer?
Right in front of you.
I
There you
don't-
go. You got it.
Are we good? Okay. Does that mean nobody heard me? Maybe I better tone it down. So what I was trying to say is I think that context is really important because I'm going to go through a few of the details here and address some of the fiction that's been told to you here about this bill, because you can't let the folks here use this and hijack this particular measure. I've been told that you need to vote this down because otherwise someone's going to sell parkland. So here's what I want to do. I want you to understand that. I think most of you are similar to me, regular citizens who are interested in the city. So let me tell you some facts. And these are undisputed facts, and I'll tell you when I'm doing an analysis. So here's the facts. City fire costs $4.7 million. This ordinance would take $4.7 million that's raised through the parcel tax, puts it into literally a safe box that nobody can touch for anything else than fire. That gets audited once, it gets audited twice, and it gets audited a third time to make sure that the money that's collected is actually spent there. So it can't be used for parkland, it can't be used for roads, it can't be used for anything else. This is dictated by the increase in the contracts, which on average has been about 3.3% over the last 10 years. So 6.2% is the max that any year that it could go up. And if you look at the historical records on it, there was one year it was at 5. There were a couple of years where it was actually below and it actually went down. And if this goes down and there's extra money in that box, guess what? We use it for the following year, and if it remains at a certain abundance, you all get it back. So this notion that this is being used for other services is just completely nuts, and I want you to think about that in terms of the information that's being sent to you. The other aspect of it is that there's two factors in terms of how you determine this. One is every single lot in Palos Verdes is assessed a base number, and the second component of it is based upon the square footage of your particular home. Now, you can debate about the formula the way it's been set up, but that formula has been in existence for the last 20, 25 years. And to me, it's about as balanced as it could possibly be because everybody uses fire and paramedic services, and you have the ability to be able to lay it out. Now, I'm running out of time here in terms of how we're doing this, and hopefully there's a lot of questions to be able to address it. But here's what I want to be able to address. Why shoot yourself in the foot and say, let's go ahead and drain our reserves? You heard 3 candidates for city treasurer all sitting up here that said $9 million is the basic minimum that we should have. That's what we have right now. This bill, and this is a little bit of analysis, but this bill, if it's voted down, $2.5 million goes right out the door this year. There's no way to make that up, okay? March is the next time that this comes up for vote, if it even gets on there, is you can't get that money. It doesn't get collected until the end of 2008, so you're gonna lose more money out of the reserves. So what's the alternative? Fire everybody who works for the city. Okay, so what does that save you? $1.5 million? So the other thing I want to just emphasize, and hopefully it comes in the questions, is all the unintended consequences, and I'll be glad to be able to talk about that through some of your questions.
Thank you. Now I'm going to start with you again, William, on these questions. I think this person is saying that the reason why Palos Verdes Estates has this tax is because they don't have the commercial properties that other cities have. And they want to know if you think that is the reason why the tax is necessary.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I want to address the main issue that the opponent raised here. And it's this idea that we pay twice for fire tax. We don't pay twice for fire tax. City of Palos Verdes, and I won't bore you with the details because it's all online if you want to take a look at it, had its own fire department pre-Prop 13. So what does that mean? That basically means that unlike other cities that didn't have a fire department, like RPV, we don't get that money from property taxes. It's frozen. So we had to come up with a different way to do it. And thank God for Mr. Nyman to do this 30 years ago, because it was important to be able to do that. So this idea, I picked this up on the way in. Some of you may have did it. And I try to fact check it by highlighting. And I highlighted all the errors in here and all falsehoods. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to just highlight the whole thing because this is pure fiction, okay? And I'll challenge anyone to tell me otherwise, but this is pure fiction. That 1%, we can't control how much we get in the city. If it were that easy, we'd do that overnight. We'd say, send us more money, state. You're collecting in property tax. That is not possible. So anyone walking away today feeling like that's the case and that's the solution to all of this, please, let's have a discussion about this. So the other idea here is, you're right, RPV has tons of businesses. They've got this beautiful hotel called Terranea. Guess what that generates for the city of RPV? $4.7 million just in hotel taxes. Be nice. Should we build a hotel here, folks, to go ahead and have a fire department? Is that what we're looking for? Okay. So anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about it, but let's keep that in check in terms of the difference between our cities.
Okay, Jim?
Well, firstly, Rolling Hills they have nothing but residential, Rolling Hills. Rolling Hills has 698 lots, minimum zoning is an acre. They have no commercial, they have no industrial, they have no nothing. And they get 23.3% of the property tax dollar, of which they use about 17% to give back for their fire contract. We get 11.3% of the property tax dollar. By the way, there's no relationship between our fire department being county and Proposition 13. Proposition 13 was in 1978. We went county in 1986. I know because I went to the city and said, I'm a fire department consultant. And I said, we're pretending to have a fire department and we need to go county. Had nothing to do with Proposition 13. Had to do with a better level of service, better equipment, better trained guys that had a better career path. But if you look at the materials we provided, there's a tax bill from Rancho PV. It's the one that's redacted. You'll see that they pay no fire tax. They pay 1%. Okay, they pay 1%. And then you'll see the one from myself. It shows you that I pay my 1%, then I pay a fire tax. I showed you another bill from San Pedro, which is LA Fire. In LA Fire, they pay 1% and nothing more. So you can decide to pay for this service twice if you want, that's fine. But we're paying for it twice. Thank you.
Okay. Now, this next question, we'll start with you, Jim. I don't know if I understand it, but I'll read it so you can figure
Read it,
it
I'll
out.
take a shot at it.
There are major concerns over the 6.2% annual contract cap. What is the likelihood this would occur? You see?
Well, let's say that you were going to get a new loan. I got a loan in my house. I got it at 2.85. I thought was great. Let's say I went to them and they said, well, let's make it 10, but we promise we're going to make it as low as possible. Would you take that deal? I sure wouldn't take that deal. I'd say, no. Let's talk around 3. Well, so if they think that our fire taxes are going to go up at around 3 or 2, let's say 2.2, consumer price index plus 50%, that's 3.3. Then write it for 3.3. Otherwise, you're asking the county to police themselves. And trust me, well, I don't trust them. If we tell them they can raise it as much as they want, why would they not raise it as much as they want? It doesn't make sense to me. I think it should be a 3.3, hold our own feet to the fire. At 50% more than the CPI, I think most people would like to get 50% more than the CPI.
Okay, William?
Well, look, that's a classic hijacking of this measure, and I really encourage everybody to distance yourself from what may be going on in the city, how you personally feel about it in this particular Measure D, because the two should not be connected. And if city officials and those who are opposed, the limited folks who are opposed to the city are addressing those, please pay attention. It has never been 6.2, okay? Averages all the way across for the last 15 years is about 3%. The highest it's ever been is 5. The reason why it has a cap of 6.2 is to provide city treasurers and the others who are going to be in this position a little bit of cushion for that rainy day to be able to address it. So this idea that 6.2 is compounded year after year and it's being mandated by LA County to be able to do so, I'll tell you, there are fire folks here in this room. They're not interested in looking at our little city and saying, oh my God, I'm going to go ahead and raise it to 6.2 so I can squeeze another few dollars out of them. Because we're one piece of 13 other cities who are paying for a fee for service for fire. Look, all the surveys have been done that talked about the fact that public safety is the #1 priority in the city. Your fire, your police. Right now, without this parcel tax, 91% of the city's budget, 91% are paid for fire and for police. That's what it would be. And so you're telling me you're going to be able to find overnight 10% of that to be able to resolve everything else. Look, I'm not going to tell you that if you don't pass this thing, your house is going to burn down because fire's not going to show up. But if this doesn't pass, slowly services will be impacted. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year, but it will be impacted.
Okay, and we'll take one more question. And it's, what other methods do other cities use to pay for these services without a parcel tax?
Is it to me?
It's, yes, because Jim went first last time.
Well, first of all the cities, including RPV and San Pedro, and thanks for sharing the tax bill so you can take a look at it. Those were all folks who didn't have fire services in their own county pre-Prop 13. As a result, a bigger chunk of their 1% of property taxes are used to fund fire services. And keep in mind, that property tax is based upon your assessed value of your home. So if you're a new resident who purchased a $4 million home that some of us could afford to live in, that's what you would get taxed on, not the formula that we have in here. So look at the math associated with that. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is a lot of cities like us. So we're not the only city in the entire state of California that has this. We're a fee-for-service city, and there are taxes associated. There are multiple cities that have this. Grass Valley, La Habra, Berkeley, those are other cities as well. Another fact check that you need to take a look at. The other way to do it is to raise utility taxes, homeowners association taxes, all these other taxes, which would be essentially the same with one exception, accountability. All those monies go into a general fund, allows the city officials to go ahead and use that money and say, look, it came from utilities, it came from homeowners association. None of those, and this will I'll probably agree with Mr. Nyman on, have the formula that we have, which is to put it in that box, lock it up, pull it out only to pay fire services. And if someone uses that money for something else, guess what? You're in direct violation of an ordinance that basically is a direct violation, and you can hold your city council members accountable for that.
Jim?
Firstly, you're talking to the only person that was ever endorsed by the Inglewood Fire Department for another city, me. I invented this tax. I love this tax. It's a good idea. The relationship between the tax rate, that how much you pay, and other things like the contract amount, there isn't any relationship. It was purely fictional. But here's the deal. Every other city pays for this out of their property tax, Prop 13 revenue, not us. We pay Prop 13 revenue, then we pay again. San Pedro, by the way, is LA Fire. They were LA Fire when Prop 13 came around. They'll be LA Fire when you and I are gone. So LA Fire, isn't it? In Hermosa Beach, let's take some other city. Hermosa Beach gets 20% of the property tax dollar. They're currently getting ready to contract with the county. Then they'll pay for their contract, which will be less than ours, out of the money that they get from property tax. We only get 11.3%. I would ask, why do we get 11.3%? They get 20%, and every other city on the Hill gets 23.3%. Okay, every other city gets 23.3%. And by the way, you can change these things. In another life, I questioned the property tax revenue that we got. The county came in, we talked to them, they came back and 3 days later and they said, how about if we give you $3 more million? but don't tell anybody. Well, I'm telling you now. And we got $3 million. As I said earlier, we would talk to the flood control people, and we get storm drains funded every couple of years. You can do lots of things in government, but if you want to pay twice for the same service, twice for what everybody else pays for, that's up to you. And thank you.
Okay, now we're going to the 1-minute closing statement in the opposite order than we began. So William, you go first.
So I counted 9 times, basically saying we've paid twice for this fire tax. You can say it 20 times. It's not true. So just because you hear yourself say it over and over, doesn't make it true. And I'll challenge anyone in this room to go ahead and look at that, look that up. The other aspect of it is look, are there problems in the city about revenue not being high enough and expenses being too high? Yes. And all of you, I applaud your enthusiasm for being in here. I want you to hold everyone accountable. I want you to hold all these candidates and everyone else accountable. But let's give them a fighting chance to do something to change this. Don't shoot ourselves in the head or in the foot and take away our reserves immediately out of the box before they can even get started. So pass this measure, give the city treasurer some reserve to be able to deal with, and then hold their feet to the fire to do these cuts that you think are viable. And if you start digging and you realize what that is, you're going to think about losing your services. Now, Mr. Nyman has said many times he created this. And you know what? I thank him for it. But you know what? In the last 30 years, guess what? We've come to love being safe. We love having our own police. We love having our own fire. We love the smooth roads that we have. We love the fact that trees are trimmed. All of those things are going to be impacted. And guess what? That's why we live here. So 30 years have gone by, and there's a reason for it, because we love those services. You want to see those services go away? This will be the way to get that started.
Okay.
Thank you.
Stop. Jim?
Thank you. If you want money for roads, ask us. We'll give you money for roads. You want money for the police? Ask us. We'll give you money for police. You want money for fire? Ask us. We don't want to pay twice. But I'm telling you that you look at don't listen to this. Look at the tax bills that I provided. Look at the tax bill from Rancho Palos Verdes. Look at the tax bill from San Pedro. Look at my tax bill. You'll see everybody pays 1%. Then in previous states, we pay a second time. I call that getting billed twice. You can call whatever you want to call it. But I love paying taxes. And I pay the school tax, even though I don't have any kids in school, because I want to. I invented this tax, and I think it's a good tax. I want it to go away. I want it to come back with a lower rate for a fixed period of time and decreasing till it goes away. It needs to sunset, and sunset's supposed to mean go away, not sunset means we'll do it again. Thank you.
Okay, let's give them a big hand. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Remember, your vote is your voice, and please vote on March 7th.